Good morning, traders. Today is Monday, November 21st. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, the market is not showing its hat this morning. Unfortunately, this is one of those days where I will have to just sit back and wait for the market to tell me what it's doing, because I'm just not sure. We are opening inside the previous day's range after an entire weekend of chop. So what are we expecting? More chop at the open. We're looking for the market to grind up and down, essentially between the 39.70s and the 39.40s, and just kind of continue to grind around. Whichever direction it breaks of the overnight range, so if it breaks the overnight low, I will look to test yesterday's low, Friday's low, or if they break the overnight high, I will look to test Friday's high. But anywhere inside the overnight range, this is chop suey. And there's just no way to know where it will flip and reverse or which way it will break. Okay? Since the market is just going to chop up and down, it's worth taking a second to zoom out and look at the daily. On the daily, we have a giant balancing range. Okay? This right here is essentially a very, very tight balancing area. So we had a bunch of excess. Change in the market, CPI data at the low, created excess. We got a big move higher. And thus far, we have balanced off that excess moving sideways. So that sets us up to break either direction, break higher or lower. However, as long as we're inside this really super tight range, it's hard to know which way it's going to break. I would say the buyers have a little bit of momentum. But again, really the tell this morning will be which end of the overnight range breaks. The A period low is considered weak because they opened and just went straight up. They never tested lower. Increasing the odds of chop. Please smash that like button if you don't mind. It always helps if you hit it first thing in the morning. Also, if you haven't yet, subscribe and hit that notification bell. All right, so we're pushing into this node of resistance right here between 39.69 and 39.74. We're looking for resistance. And then to head back down through the opening price, which is weak. Survey is out. Which way do you think this chop is going to break? Do you think the market is heading higher today? Do you think we're just going to grind around inside this range like the overnight did? Or do you think we're going to head lower? Where do you think the market's going to go? All right, so now we are testing the support at the halfback. I do not suspect it will hold, but if it does, that means we're looking to push higher here. If it does not hold, continuation of the chop. Heading down to test the week low. It did not hold, so we're looking to test this week low. Hunting for support as we just chop it up. Get in the zone, the chop zone. Anyone else? Anyone want to make a vote? Where do you think the market's going to go? Are we going up? Are we going down? Or are we just going to go sideways? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Novice Trader says he guesses the survey will be chopped too. So you're looking for the same number of sidewayses and then the same number of ups and downs. You got it. Chop zone in there. 47% sideways, 28% up, 24% down. Half the chat thinks the market's going up and half the chat thinks the market's going down, which means the market's going nowhere. Where you going? Nowhere. Looking for support. All right, so we got some potential support in here between 40, 45 and 55 where the overnight found support. So then we're looking for the market to head back up and test that halfback. Design Knob says, what kind of auction is this? This is what you would call a two-sided auction. Buyers and sellers playing tug of war in competition with one another. Who's the third side? Oh, Pappy. We must never forget about Pappy. We got the buyers, we got the sellers, and we got the Pappy. All right, so as always in the chop zone, the question of the day, can the halfback hold as resistance, or do we push right back through it? Resistance means we're coming back down to test the support. Pushing through means the chop continues, and we're heading up looking for resistance. What's it going to be? Mateus, FOMC minutes this week? No. No more FOMC till next year. Till January. Oh, Andrew's saying yes this week. Maybe I'm wrong. Mike's saying they'll release the minutes, but no rate change. Well, the minutes will do it. That'll get some momentum going. Right before everyone stops trading for Thanksgiving. Diario asks, when I stop trading in December and start again? I'm taking the last 2 weeks of December off. So the last day will be the 16th, and then I start again in January. As we just chop it up. Okay, so the halfback, if it holds as resistance here, means we're heading back down to test the support once again. If we push through the halfback here and head back up towards the highs, then we are heading back up looking for resistance up here. Now, if they can find resistance in the halfback and head to the lows, it could mean we're ready to try to break lower. But if we pass through the halfback, it means the chop will just continue. And it looks like the chop will just continue. Good times. $148 people hanging out, only 70 likes. More than half of you hate me. You hate me. Convince me otherwise. Smash that like button. Give me that little thumbs up. Thank you kindly to those 16 people. Appreciate you. Mark, only a thumb separates hate and like in Charles's sphere. This is, hey, it's YouTube, baby. We're either doing this together or I'm all alone. There's no middle ground. I'm so lonely. I'm lonely. No one will like my video. Do I notice how many dislikes I get? No, I don't. I only look at the likes. But you can dislike too. That's fine. That still helps the YouTube algorithm. Even because it turns out people like to hate stuff. So you can push that you dislike and they'll still send more people my way. You just have to push something. You guys can't see the dislikes? I thought you could. Well, you can't see it anymore? Oh no. Well, then you'll never know. You'll never know how many of you really hate me. You'll spend the rest of your life dying to know how many dislikes does he really get. I've got to know. I've got to find out the truth. All right, so we're starting to get resistance here. Same as before. We're watching that halfback. When the market comes back down there, does it turn into support? If it's support, they're looking to head back up and poke at the resistance again. If they do not hold it as support, they're heading back down towards the lows as we chop it up. Joshua says, wrong. What's wrong? All of it. Just life itself. Hey, we made 100 likes. 100 likes. Right as we test the halfback. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Not much insights to add with the banner here, just to let you know it's a chop zone. But it's good to know. John Lash says, one day we will get a trend day, except it will be at 3 a.m. and no one will see. I think 3 a.m. is the very common point where it does start to trend in the overnight. So your prediction could come true. But you know what we'll see the next morning? We'll see a gap, and then we'll know how to play it. It'll be a gap and go. Faux show. Okay, so can halfback hold? If they can hold the support here, they'll head back up to test the resistance above. If it breaks, then we're heading back down. And we know the chop will continue. Johnny, what is the meaning of halfback? Yeah, if you look at this little white line that runs right here, it's right at the center of the range. That is halfway between the high and the low of the range. And it works very much like a 50, Fibonacci retracement level. If the market is trying to push higher, that is often where it'll find support to get continuation. Or if it is trying to push lower, that is often where it'll get resistance for continuation. So when the market is chopping up and down like this, and we just don't know. When the market's in this zone, it could just do whatever, right? It could slowly grind higher and then spend an hour up here and then break lower. It could slowly grind one way, grind the other, grind the other, grind the other. It can do whatever it wants. So it's like, well, when we know we're stuck in this zone, how do we try to get some understanding of what it's doing? Well, the first thing is we look at how it reacts to support and resistance. Does it immediately turn around the second it tests the first support? That tells us more chop. Is it able to push through the first support, get to the second, get to the third? Well, then maybe we're trying to break. And the same thing is true with the halfback. If we get back to that halfback, like we literally just did just now, if we get back to that halfback and then find support there, it means the next push we might be able to break through. Again, we don't know. We have to wait and see. But we're just looking for insights. We're just trying to start to put the puzzle pieces together and figure out which way the market's going to break out of this zone. And so the halfback is just an excellent indicator of which direction it might break. It will almost always find support at halfback before it breaks one way or another. Is it a dynamic half? Yeah. So the halfback I'm referring to is the halfback for the day. So it's changing throughout the day. Every time the range gets a little bit higher or a little bit lower, the halfback will adjust to it. And there you go. 2 seconds after I say it, we then pass through the halfback, which means the chop continues. We don't have the buyers to try to test higher, so we got to pull the market back down and look for the buyers at the low. As we just chop it up. David, yeah. Resistance from below or support from above. So let's say right now the market pushes lower. It goes down here. It finds some support at, say, 49. It comes back up, and then it starts getting resistance at the halfback. That increases the odds that the support will fail the next time, that they'll be able to break through. Which would begin the momentum in that direction. But unfortunately, we just passed through it several times, so that tells us there's more chop ahead. They have not picked a direction yet, I say. It is two-sided trade, I say. JM, what software is that? The software on the left is Market Profile software. It's from a company called Window Trader. There is a link in the description. And that just shows us the same information as the candlesticks, just in three-dimensional form. It shows us both how much time and volume trades at each price. And then the one over here on the right is Bookmap, which is an order flow software. And that just shows us where the volume is sitting in the books and where it gets pulled. So there was volume, and then there was none. Rocket stops 114 at 39.67. No, that's the stops are the circles. So this little green circle up here, that would have been stops. This is an iceberg order. So somebody put in an order right here, and then it started to fill. The market moved lower, so they moved their order down with it. It started to fill, but it didn't fully fill, so it's still sitting in the order books. So this just tells us there's somebody waiting to get short up here next time they get a chance. Speaking of stops, so they just poked down here, took out all the buyers, right? As the market worked its way up above that halfback, imagine everyone that doesn't understand what a chop zone is. They're just scalpers. They're getting long as can be right there, thinking the market's going to go higher, and then boom, we chop back down and take them out. 300 stops, just like that. And then we chop it up. Thank you for the liquidity. All right, so we've got a poor low on the day here, increasing the odds the market will push away from the poor low to build up resistance and come back and repair it. We are still looking for support above the overnight low to continue the chop. Rocket speed, does icebergs good way to short or long? I have not seen any kind of strategy where like you could just try to front run the icebergs. I just think like everything else, it should just be one more piece of data. If you believe the market is going to go lower, right? If that's your analysis today, well, then you might say to yourself, okay, getting short up here is an excellent place to get short. I can see someone with size is also getting short up here, right? So that might just be one more piece of information to consider, but I wouldn't put a short in just because of that, because that could also just as easily disappear. As soon as we get up there, they could change their mind and get rid of it. So you don't want to enter a trade based on data that's not reliable. But you could use it as one more point to consider in other analysis. Cloud, I didn't understand the software on the left. So it's called market profile software. Essentially what you're looking at here, this right here is a profile for today. This is since the market opened this morning. It's basically the same profile right next to each other. The one on the left is collapsed. So it looks like this. All the letters are smushed on top of each other. Whereas the one on the right, each TPO is expanded out. So it's you can't really tell in the first hour of the day. They look exactly the same, but throughout the day you can tell the difference. And basically that just allows me to see how much time the market spends at different levels, right? If you're looking at candlesticks, it's hard to tell. But here I can literally see the exact levels where the market spends the most time. Where it spent the most time yesterday, where it spent the most time in the overnight, where it's spending the most time today. And time, like volume, is a signal of what the market is doing. Where do they spend the most time? There's information in that. So it's like looking at the market in 3D. DAX a guy. We're smack dab between a daily gap above and a daily gap below. I'm not sure about the gaps, but we are definitely in a tight range on the daily. There is a gap in here. I'm not sure about the gap above. But yep, very tight range on the daily. Which way is it going to break? We'll probably find out today. Oh, shit. I didn't realize I left my mic on. Sorry, guys. All right. The low remains poor, in need of repair. Mark, what is your thought behind the candles being full session instead of regular trading hours? Just curious. Yeah, when I'm looking at the futures, I look at the full day, and when I'm looking at when I want to look at regular trading hours, I look at SPX. So if I wanted to see what just regular trading hours is, I click over to SPX, and I look at it like that. So just having the ability to quickly differentiate between the two. All right, so there is the repair of the poor low. We're now testing the support. So if they're able to break the overnight low, that will increase the odds. They're heading down to test yesterday's low. So if they break the overnight low, we'll look for resistance. But prior to that, the higher probability is more chop. So support. All right, they broke the support. We have movement. So now the question is, can we start to bring in some new sellers down here at the overnight low? Can we create some resistance? Pretty much right where we're testing right now. Can we create some resistance here and head down to test yesterday's low? And then same thing down there. Do we just poke below yesterday's low and come right back up? Or do we get resistance there for continuation further? We have a low volume node here at 52 and need a backfilling. John, oh my God, it's happening. Everyone remain calm. All right, we're starting to backfill that low volume node. We're looking for resistance. Can the sellers keep the ticks below that zero line? All right, well, I am now bearish for a test of yesterday's low, as long as we can remain below the halfback here. So as long as we remain below 61, I am bearish to test yesterday's low, as this feels like new selling beginning to pile on. So we're looking for sellers to continue to pile on to take us down to test 39.42. Once they get down there, do they just poke below yesterday's low and then come right back up into the range? Or do they poke below and get resistance there? That will be the question. And then, of course, if the market is able to work its way back up through the halfback again, then obviously I'm wrong and the market is just still in a chop zone. But it does feel like the sellers are taking control here. So let's see how it plays out. All right, so as we begin to print the C period here, we left behind some single prints in the B period. That increases the odds that the market will need to push back up to backfill those single prints. We will then be looking for resistance there. And as always, whichever direction we break the initial balance, so if the C period is able to find resistance there and then come back down and break that B period low, that is the beginning of a trend lower, which is bearish. And if they're able to get the C period all the way back up to break the high of the A period, that is bullish as a trend higher. But obviously, you know where I stand. With that, I will bid you farewell. Wish you a happy day of trading. Hopefully, it won't just rotate all day. And we'll see you here tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Sails down, anchors up. Let's go. Members of the brigade, head on over to the private stream, and we'll figure it out together.